Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Speaking Nerd Podcast, the place to talk about all things comics, movies, TV, video games, and everything nerdy. So, The Boys Season 3 has started. It's about halfway through the season. At the time of this recording, it's Tuesday, and this week, episode 6 will be coming out, which is the fabled Hero-gasm episode, which the cast and crew have been talking about like crazy. And, so before, the season ends, I wanted to kind of just get my thoughts out on the first two seasons. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about since I started the podcast, like since I restarted it back in 2020, because by then season 2 was happening, and I think it was almost about to wrap up. So by then, when the season ended, I tried to talk some people into it, but it didn't work out. So and then we moved on with our lives. So now I get the chance to finally spiel everything about The Boys and how much I love it. And I brought with me somebody who has been recently baptized in the world of The Boys, Swfte.
Yeah, hey everyone. So for the past couple months, Marvel has been telling me, he's like, you should watch The Boys. Have you gotten around to it yet? And I kept putting it off, not because I didn't want to watch it, but it was a mixture of, I don't know that I was totally interested or thought that I would. I didn't think I would be that interested. And I was, a couple days ago, my brother was watching. He had started it, and he was on like episode 7 of the first season, and I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. So I was like, I'm gonna backtrack and just watch the whole season, and then I just ended up binging it in a day, and I freaking love this show, guys. I can't even express enough. I love this show so much. Great story, phenomenal acting. It connects you to these characters like in such a profound way. It's just a phenomenal show, and I can't praise it enough. I'm so excited to kind of delve into season 3. I'm on episode 2, so by the time we're done this episode, I'll be back on my couch eating chips and candy, watching The Boys. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm excited to talk about these first 2 seasons because I think they're both really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're just talking about seasons 1 and 2. We are going to do an episode on season 3 when it ends, and hopefully by then, I was thinking we have a special guest join with us, so hopefully that works.
Oh yeah,
fingers crossed.
yes.
But before we get into the show, I just want to ask you, how are you introduced to The Boys? Like, was it through the show? Was it through the comic, which it's based on? Like, hearing it from somewhere else? Fill me in on that.
I heard it. Well, I want to say I heard it from you. I want to say, but I know that now looking back, I had seen like ads about it on Amazon Prime and around the internet. So it was a mixture of both those things. But I would say you kind of like made it more known to me. I kind of just like scrolled past it because I didn't, I wasn't interested. So I would say more so you kind of made it more known to me that show existed. When I first heard about it, I think I kind of thought it would be a fluke. Like it would just be like, oh, first episode, pilot came out, and then that's it. But it's gotten an incredible critical response. So yeah, that's how I heard about The Boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my introduction through it was the TV show. I wasn't aware of the comic until later on, because when The Boys came out, it was summer 2019, and I watched some stuff about it, mainly from clips of the Seven and whatnot. It's like, okay, it's another superhero type show, and to me, watching it from the teaser, it's like, okay, maybe I'll check this out at some point. I think by then I was starting to watch Daredevil season 3, so I didn't want to veer away from that. Like, I wanted to be committed to the Netflix Marvel stuff and finish that. So so months go by. I finished Daredevil, and I think it was after I finished like Punisher and whatnot. It was like, okay, I want to watch something new, and it's like, okay, let's try out The Boys and see how that is. And my God, first episode alone, I was just like, man, this is fucking fantastic. And I watched the entire season. I binged it in like a week. And usually I'm not the type of person to binge anything. Like, I find it super hard to binge a TV show, especially like.
Same here.
Because especially if the show's like an hour long, like it's hard to kind of get multiple episodes in for me. After a while, I'm just kind of squirming in my seat, being like, I kind of want to do something else right now. I think at max, it's like maybe I can go through like 1 or 2 episodes, but
yeah, and like for me, it's the same way, and I can't even binge. Like my favorite animated show of all time is the animated series Batman, and I can't even binge that show. Like it's just I can't do it. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised with myself as well. Like I binged this show, the first both seasons, in like 3 days. I was just like, I was just totally into it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like The Boys, just like it just hit different. Where it's like every episode wants you to come, like it makes you come back in some form or fashion, and like this season did it. Like the first season, like every episode I was enthralled in. I was just like, after episode 1, I was like, man, I just gotta get through all of them. Like I want to watch them all like right now. I wish I had more time in the day so I can just fucking get all these episodes in. But yeah, I think at that point I was like in school, so it's just like it's kind of hard to like do all that, worry about studies and whatnot. So it's just like, okay, like I'll just watch it as I can, and and I finished season 1. I was just like, I wonder when season 2's coming out because I can't fucking wait for and then and then the rest is history. Season 2 came out. I watched it every Friday, I think, when the episodes came out. So it's just like I'd watch it before work, I'd watch it after work, whatever the case. I didn't miss a beat on any of it. And now here we are, and season 3's out, and I've been enjoying it immensely. So so before we get into the actual episodes themselves, I just wanted to talk about the 2 main sets of characters and see how we kind of feel about each of them. Sure. We'll start with the 7 because like they're titular, but it's like not completely titular. So let's start with the character who is an interesting one, to say the least. The Deep.
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, God. Do you want to start?
Okay. I think Chase Crawford, who plays him, does a fantastic job. But as a character, he pisses me off. Yeah.
Why does he piss you off?
Because he's just the most, like, douchebag, like, fucking stereotype piece of shit you've ever met. And, like... And, like...
Look, I got... No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's, like... It gets to a point where it's more frustrating because I've seen that a billion times before him, and he's not really doing anything new. So...
Yeah. Well, I feel like... So, and we'll talk about this other character, but him and one other character are 2 of the most forgetful characters ever because of... So, like, season 1, Deep is used fairly, almost every episode. And, he's transferred to Ohio or whatever. But he just, like, is so stereotypical that he's almost forgettable. Like, it's like... And, like, when he comes back in season 2... I'm not really excited about it. Like, he's not a character that I'm, like, eager to see on screen, because he does do a great job, but he's just annoying as hell.
I know.
Yeah. And you know what? Another thing is, his gills give me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I just hate the animation. Freaks me out. Like, I hate looking at it. Oh God.
Yeah,
And
no.
that like scene where the girl's fingering him. Oh my God. Or like when he's talking to his gills. I was like, please stop.
Yeah, no, in season 2
So
when he's just like, he's in the room by himself and then his gills just miraculously start talking. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
I know. I'm like freaked out by that. So I'm hoping that he keeps that damn shirt on. But so that's my thoughts on Deep. Very I mean, he's not forgettable, but he's not rememberable in a good way. So
Yeah.
like I don't love seeing him on screen.
To me, he's memorable in the worst way possible.
Right.
Because it's just like the whole, like he's trying to be the Aquaman kind of character where it's like everybody thinks he's a joke and
Yeah.
like even that gets old after a while where it's just like them shitting on him the entire episode and them being like,
Yeah.
you're literally nothing. Like,
Yep.
so, but yeah, props to Chase because he does a fucking fantastic, like that scene in, I think it's the end of season 1 where it's him shaving his head and all that. Like,
Oh yeah,
great.
that was great.
But yeah, like what they do with that character is like stereotypical and also just weird too. Because in season 2, like it's like, he's trying to get back in the Seven, and the way that he does that is by joining the Church of the Collective, which is like, okay, like, that's interesting.
I know.
All right, let's talk about A-Train, which is one of my one of my favorite underrated characters, along with like Queen Maeve.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll kick this off. So A-Train, I agree. He's kind of like the hidden gem of the show, and I think that is partly because he disappears for a while. I mean, he's not fully gone, but he's really not as interactive with everything as he was in the beginning of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
I love his story with his girlfriend. I thought that was really good, like really, really good. I love how he's so reluctant to kind of make them public. And I think it's so interesting that they made that twist that he kills her. I was so like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah,
like
no.
this is Dateline, bro. It's an episode of Dateline. And I thought that was super interesting, and it kind of adds to the sense that he doesn't know what he wants in his life, and he also made a bad decision. But also, I hate the fact, and I don't hate it like it's not like Deep where it's just so repulsive. I hate it, but I wish his character was brighter in a sense of like I feel for his character. I mean, like I wish he could see that what he's doing is wrong, because all he ends up caring about is the fame, and that's why he wants to get back in the Seven. I mean, you watch season 2, and he gives them all the evidence because he knows it's wrong, but he just wants to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the kind of like inner struggle that A-Train has. I think that really adds to his character. So I really enjoy A-Train.
Yeah,
And the actor does a great job.
Yeah, I can't remember I can't remember the name of the actor, but like yeah, I guess I should say that like every actor does a fucking impeccable job like throughout.
Yeah,
there's not one of them that is like bad in a sense. Like there's one that's like there's a few that are like kind of like okay, that's whatever, but yeah, like fucking A-Train, like you're right. Like I love that kind of inner struggle that his character has, and like it's weird to me looking back because in season 1 he was more of an antagonist than Homelander was. Like he had more of a presence than fucking Homelander did, especially since he was the one that kind of set everything into motion for.
I know it's interesting to think back to that. It's interesting to think back to season 1 because you watch season 2 and it's like completely not A-Train centered. And then you think back to it and it's like it all happened because of A-Train.
Mm-hmm.
None of this would have happened if he hadn't hit Robin.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Very interesting.
But yeah, I love what they do in season 1. In season 2, like it's definitely like they put him on the back burner and it's just like we'll see what happens with him. and
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing that they do with him, but at the same time, it's like I wish we could get like just a little bit more of them. You know, like
Yeah.
it would help. It would go a long way.
Yeah, it would.
Okay. I guess next we can just talk about Queen Maeve, which is, like I said, I think one of my personal favorites because of just how fucking like depressing it all is.
Yeah. My only complaint about Queen Maeve is that she doesn't get enough screen time. Um, I want to see more of her because I love her story. Um, I love I love that, like you said, it's depressing and that she's literally controlled by Homelander. She can't do anything without him. I mean, that plane scene alone like chokes me up. It's like horrifying. Um,
Yeah,
so I just no, go ahead.
I was just gonna like season one. You can already like it's already known that she's pretty much given up. Where it's just like, oh, I guess I'll, do this stuff with Homelander, and I like
Right.
that as the seasons go on, she's starting to get like a little bit more confidence back in her. Where it's just like, man, I'll fucking tell off Homelander like when I can. Like fuck him, fuck everything.
Especially the end of season two, awesome.
Yeah.
She just like told him off completely.
Yeah, and she had that the plane video on her where it's just like if you do anything, this will go out and you will be fucked for the rest of your life.
Yep. No, I loved it.
Yeah, I feel the same. Where it's just like I wish she had more screen time. It would, like
Yeah.
it's a thing with like it's the same with A Train too, where it's just like it's just tragic. Like it's just fucking tragic. And it's like you
Yeah.
want to see her have a happy ending with Elena, like just this struggle, especially with Homelander's like you don't want to see that, but I mean it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to drive the story forward, so it's like what
Right.
do you do?
Right.
um, but yeah, definitely a favorite of mine for sure.
Yeah. Next up, do you want to talk about? Let's talk about kind of a back burner character. I think Black Noir.
Yeah, I was just gonna say let's talk about Black Noir because he's basically the Boba Fett of this show,
Yeah.
where he's so
Doesn't
awesome.
talk.
He's so fucking cool, but they never fucking use him at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so every scene he's in where they use him, he's great.
Yes.
I love him, especially the house scene where you go to Butcher's aunt's house. Oh my god, that it's so great. I love that part of season two so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when he's fighting Queen Maeve and Starlight, and they use the tree nut allergy against him.
I was like, is that an almond joy?
And I was like, oh shit, that's me, because I literally would die from that. Um, but yeah, I love every scene he's in, but he's just not used. He's really misused, I think, and that's something they really have to switch up. That I hope they switch up. Um, yeah, Black Noir is super cool.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Batman of the group. Like if we're going from like superhero standpoints, but he's just not. He doesn't talk, and he's not the leader.
No.
So yeah, he's basically Boba Fett, like you said. I like that analogy a lot. Um, yeah, I really wish we get to see. I hope we get to see more of him, but it's disappointing that we haven't seen enough of him yet. This, far in.
Mm. Yeah, no. I agree with you where it's just like every scene he's in, whether it's like action or just comedic, like it's all great. One of my personal
Yeah.
favorite scenes is like at the very end of season one where it's a small moment, but this guy's playing on the piano, and then Noir just shows up out of nowhere, like, scares him off the piano, and then plays this little like lovely melody, and it's just like, man, that's
Yep.
interesting, like character like stuff, like kind of just
Yeah.
off the books type thing.
I
Uh,
also like the scene with Black Noir where he kills the terrorist, and he has the head in his hand, and he goes to see that kid playing video games, and he like just throws the little stuffed animal on his bed and walks out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has a lot of small character moments, like you said.
Yeah,
But I wish he had some big ones.
I do, yeah. Especially because there's a whole episode where it's just like him trying to, try to Butcher down, and like you mentioned, they go to Butcher's aunt's house, and like he follows them there, and you think it's gonna be like this big, climactic showdown, and like it's not really that.
No, not really.
And then you come to find out it's like, oh, he's just controlled by Stan Edgar, which is like,
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
it's strange. But yeah. Also, I want to mention, seeing him cry is the most saddest thing in the entire show.
Who,
Black Noir.
like, yeah.
The scene where they find out that, they find out about Compound V and whatnot, and you see him outside.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was like gut wrenching. I was like, what the? I was like, there's no way.
It's like, don't make this poor child cry.
I know. Yeah, that was terrible. But yeah, it was like those little character moments are really great.
Mm-hmm.
Use him more, Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Use him more.
Use him more. All right, let's talk about Starlight, which is like,
yeah,
man, so fantastic.
Yeah, I absolutely adore her character.
I do too.
I think, especially, they give her such a solid arc. Like, she's the only good apple. I mean, I wouldn't say she's the only good apple, but she's the only pure apple in a bad bunch. I mean, Maeve has a good heart, but she still does the wrong things out of fear, and Starlight never does that. She's the best of them. She's almost like, I look at her as the Superman of the group in a terms of mindset. She's just great, and I love her relationship with Huey. Obviously, I think they have a great relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I'm glad we agree on this. AJ would be like, it's too like invincible. Yeah. Which I don't see, but okay. No, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Where it's just like she's the purest of the bad bunch, and like that's one of my favorite things about season 1. Like her arc alone, where it's just like her trying to, like, she wants to be an actual hero and not like just a model, like
right.
Not just this celebrity. Like she actually wants to save lives and whatnot. Right. But the struggles of trying to rise up to a company like that, like it's pretty massive. So
yeah,
and it's like season 2 where it's like I really like what they do with her in season 2, but I feel it's kind of a downgrade of what happened in season 1, because she was just so like, she starts off at this very like up, like when you first meet her, so like very upbeat, she's working with Deep and whatnot, and then literally it goes to shit like in a minute.
Yeah.
So I like that struggle, and feels like for season 2 it's like it's kind of there, but at the same time it's really not. So but yeah, absolutely love her relationship with Huey. Like it's just the most adorable thing ever is just seeing them together. Especially especially season 1. Like season 1 was probably like their peak of like relationship. Like they do get some good moments in season 2. One moment like that I really like is she joins Huey and MM. They're going to.
I was just going to bring that up.
They're going to find Liberty, or find some information about Liberty, and there's a moment between her and Huey where they're just standing outside of a vending machine, where it's just like he was like, "Is that an Almond Joy?" It's like, it's got to be in my top 3. what's your top three? She names up the other two candidates. He was just like, oh my god, those are the worst fucking candies. Like
I love that one.
That stuff I love. It's just like those cute moments between them are some of the best like stuff from the show. And
yeah,
I haven't felt this way about a relationship since like Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. Like it's just that very like
wow.
It's a very like wholesome but like adorable relationship where it's like you want to see them happy for sure. And not
yes,
get fucked over
I agree with you.
Plot and whatnot. So yeah, it's great.
I absolutely agree with you. Who do you want to go to next?
I guess we can talk about Homelander. I can't really think of it like
oh boy.
Like there's characters like Stormfront, which I guess we'll save for when we talk about season 2. But like,
yeah,
Homelander to me is the like one like top 3 characters in the entire show.
Yeah, he's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
and I love it. I mean, it drives the show because each episode he's just doing something crazier than he did the last.
Mm-hmm.
He is such a weirdo too. And when you get to dive into the backstory in the show, it's like you understand why, but he never did the right thing ever. He never stood up for himself, and he never did the right thing. And that's ultimately why he's had his downfalls.
Yeah, like.
But he's a phenomenal character
In season 1, where it's like he's definitely the main villain for sure, but like they treat him as more of a background character, where it's just like you don't really see him as much as you do like A-Train or Starlight or whatnot. And I think even Black Noir, I was like, he kind of has more of a presence than Homelander did in some respects.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like season 1, he's just kind of in the background. Like, he gets his scenes here and there where it's just like him intimidating the others. And then, of course, the scene in the plane where it's just like, get a taste of that villainous
side of him. Horrible.
And then the end of season 1 on to season 2, it completely changes where it's just like he is front and fucking center. Like he is probably like the main character of season 2, or at least one of them.
For sure.
And it's just like he's front and fucking center, and it's just like it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder and more interesting, and it's like, man, this guy's really fucked up in the head, and you're wondering what the fuck is going to happen next. And it all like that the last episode of season 2 where it's just like him inside the cabin with all those soldiers is just like, where's my son? Fucking shreds them all to pieces, covered in blood when he gets out. And you're just like,
that was insane.
Man, it's like, what the fuck is gonna happen next? Like you're wondering, like, I remember the first time I watched the scene at the pep rally or the protest. It's like,
I thought that was real, dude.
I know. I saw that and I'm like,
I was freaking out. I was like, there's no way they just did that.
Yeah, it's just him lasering a whole shitload of people, and then you see the aftermath, and it's just like, what is happening? And then it's like, oh, it's a dream. Okay, or it's a
like a vision or whatever.
It's like
yeah. I was so interested to see what they could have done with that if he actually did that. I was like, there's no way they just did that.
Yeah, no. That's one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite things. Waiting for season 3, where it's just like, man, what is he gonna do next? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Because even in the trailers, they're like, man, he's totally gone off the rails, and it's just like, at any moment, he could just like burst, and everybody will be dead. So,
and that's the thing with him is that's what constantly keeps you in suspense, because the way his character is, he's such a loose cannon. You have no idea what he's going to do. If he'll just walk away, he'll take it as a joke, or he'll like absolutely kill you right there on the spot. He's such an unpredictable character.
Yeah, along with season 2 and like season 3 for me, like you're always on your toes and like wondering what he's gonna do in the scene, and
Yeah.
you're just like, man, like it's that bubble's gonna burst at some point or another, and everybody's
Yes.
gonna be fucked. I can't wait to see that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like, God, what, like one of the best like it's just I love everything they do with that character, no matter how weird or just fucking downright like creepy it is. Like it's all amazing, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to see what they do with him like for season 3 onward. Because you're just waiting for that snap, and
I know.
it feels like it's very like it's on the cusp of that. So
Yes.
yeah, like I can't fucking wait. But
Yeah, I'm excited.
so
Is there anyone we're missing?
um
I mean, there's Translucent for season 1, but he really didn't play a huge part. I
no,
mean, he was the reason everything happened, but he really wasn't a part of the Seven throughout that time. I mean, he was, but like he was, he was captured.
yeah, yeah. It's not like, it's not really worth talking about it because it's just like he's only in like 2 episodes, like,
Yeah, and he's blown up.
blown up from the
All
ass.
right, so yeah. Oh my god.
I guess we can talk about the boys now, which
Yeah. Finally,
yeah, yeah.
the show about the boys.
Talk about the Seven.
You want to start off with the elephant in the room, Mr. Billy Butcher, the leader of the pack.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Which
All right.
goddamn.
Yeah. What a ruthless, just great character.
Yeah,
Um,
everything they do with him is fantastic. It's kind of like the Homelander situation in season 1, where it's just like he has a presence, but he's in the background more. Like we're not really given
yeah.
much about like his past and whatnot,
Right.
and then season 2 happens, and then it's mostly dedicated to him and Homelander
Yeah.
and Becca. Spoiler alert: she's alive.
Yeah. Well, not for long,
No,
but she's
it's
alive.
true. But yeah, it's but yeah, just that whole dynamic and that whole thing with him being like, because I watched an episode from season 2 last night, and it's like at the very end, him and Becca are supposed to leave that facility through a garbage
Oh
truck,
yeah.
and she comes out and he's like, "Oh, where's Ryan?" It's just like, you don't want Ryan because I know that you're gonna give him up whenever you can, and
Yeah.
like she lays his fucking character out like right there. It's just like any like bad day you could have had, you would have murdered somebody on the street. Like he's very like he's very much like Homelander. Like it's just like very unhinged, where it's just like you don't know what he's gonna do,
Yeah.
and
Right.
once you realize what happens, you're just like, oh shit. Like
Yeah. Like what?
fucking run.
Yeah. Like that. Well, the scene when he punched Huey. It's like you've been expecting him to punch Huey throughout the whole time, and you're just not sure when he's going to do it, and he finally does, and you're like, oh shit, it finally happened. And Billy has those moments all the time throughout the show. It's just like you kind of foresee him doing something, and he doesn't do it, and then he finally takes action, and you're like, well, damn,
Yeah,
he just did that.
he did.
But I love Billy's character. And I love the change of heart he has at the end of season 2. I think it just adds to his arc as a character. Although he didn't fully change, but I think that at least the way he views Ryan is a little bit different.
Yeah.
See, I think it's kind of a great, ode to love in that show. Is like he'll do anything for Becca, and he believes what Becca says. as we can tell in season 2, because of what the hell's her name? We'll talk about this later, but yeah, he believes that, or she believed that Ryan would be good and wouldn't turn out like Homelander, and kind of persuades Billy to kind of believe that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, like, the thing about Billy is, like, he fucking hates Soups, no matter, like, who it is. Like,
Right.
any chance he'll probably murder all of them. like,
Yeah.
he's locked in the room, he'll probably just kill all of them. Like, he really
Yeah.
doesn't fucking like Soups. But,
No.
like, there's a lot of stuff, like, even just in his backstory, like, even before the whole Becca situation, him, with his brother and his parents and stuff, and it's just like, man, it's really interesting kind of stuff that's being laid out here. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, I just love Billy's, like, dynamic with everyone, whether it's Huey or Mother's Milk and even Homelander, where it's just like, this is what I love about the show the most. It's just seeing these interactions and these dynamic between these characters, and fucking Billy with every single one of them is just like, I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. I love Billy to death. Every time he's on screen, I'm like, I just want to keep watching him.
Yeah.
He's like the badass guy that all guys want to be. It's like that's his character, with a mixture of great storytelling and emotion. I love it so much. But yeah, great character. And when we do get to Mother's Milk, I have a funny name that I call him, and it's not Mother's Milk because I misheard his name and I called him something else. But we'll talk about it when we get to Mother's Milk.
Well, actually, you know what? I was thinking we talked about Mother's Milk next, so
All right.
let's talk about it.
So instead of Mother's Milk, I forgot it was Mother's Milk, and I just started calling him Mommy Milkers.
Mommy.
So, so every time me and my brother see him, he's like, "Oh, it's Mommy Milkers." So I'm like, "Yeah." So I don't even look at him as Mother's Milk anymore. But yeah, so I call him Mommy Milkers. So if I ever say Mommy Milkers, then you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I love his character as well.
Yeah.
They give him more depth in season 2, I think. But the first season, just him being taken, or rather, he wasn't really taken away from his family, but his family was taken away from him in a way. I love how he kind of does these things for the greater good, but it's always at the cost of his daughter, mainly.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves his wife, and that shit that she pulled in season 2, I was like, "There's no way." When she was married to the other guy, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But so at this point, it's all for his daughter, and I think it's sort of like Billy. It's like with Becca. Becca is his weakness, and with Mommy Milkers, his daughter is his weakness.
Yeah.
He'll do anything for her, but he doesn't know how to not go do his job that his life has revolved around for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, so, one of my favorite things about him is that he literally just cares for everyone, or at least he tries to.
Yeah.
And, like, especially, like, the scenes with him and Huey, especially.
Oh, it's so good.
One of my favorites with him is right after they ram into the whale, all of them are out, and Huey's just still in there.
Yeah, he's, like, having a breakdown.
Yeah, and Mother's Milk comes in, and it's just like... So he's like, man, we really got to get her. Like, they have this talk, and it's just like, man, he really does, like, care. And even though, like, he has these homicidal tendencies, like, he really is looking out for everyone when he can. And, like, him and Butcher alone, like, is such a great kind of dynamic and parallel. It's like, Mother's Milk is awesome. Like, it's probably in my top 5 for favorite characters, and I don't want to give it away, but what they do with him in season 3, it's fantastic.
Have I seen this yet, or am I not quite there yet?
I don't think you've seen this yet, so
okay,
but it's great. So,
all right. Yeah, I love his character.
Yeah. Let's talk about. I guess we'll talk about next. We'll do a bit of a twofer because it's been 40 minutes and we haven't gotten to the episode yet. So, let's talk about both Frenchie and Camiko, or the female.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think there's going to be a character in The Boys that I say I don't love. Frenchie, I love. I love Frenchie. Mm-hmm. He's a character I always kind of go back to feeling for. I always want to see him on screen. He's great. And I love his backstory, and I think when they kind of explain it more in season 2, what he was doing. What the hell is his name? The dude who played Iceman in the X-Men movies. What was his character's name?
Lamplighter.
Lamplighter.
Yeah.
That whole backstory with Lamplighter, and him going to save his best friend, was just great, and it adds to the depth of character and how you perceive Frenchie. Because in season 1, you kind of view him as this heartless, drug-dealing mercenary. Mm-hmm. Especially from the first 2 episodes. And then as the season goes on, and especially when you get into season 2, you lighten up to him and he becomes this kind of lovable character that really does care for people. But I feel like his downfall is that it's sort of like what Billy's is he'll almost go off on his own sometimes. And especially when Camiko comes into the picture, he'll go off just for her.
Yeah.
But I love his character, man. He's great. And I love his relationship with Camiko. And Camiko is a phenomenal character, too, especially when you introduce the brother. That just adds even more to her character and her backstory with her parents and the village that she was in. And I love that constant struggle between her and her brother of he believes he's doing the right thing, but she believes she's doing the right thing, so they kind of clash heads. But there's this love that they have for each other that's apparent throughout it all. So yeah, what do you think of these two sons of bitches?
So with Frenchie and Camiko, individually, I love them. I love all the stuff they do with them. But then when they're together, I love them even more.
Yes.
Out of all the relationships in The Boys, Frenchie and Camiko surprisingly is one of the best there.
Yeah, it is. Well, they bring such a dynamic to that duo.
Yeah.
They could do so much together off from the boys group, just them two. And I would like to see more of that, them kind of teaming up on, missions by themselves. Mm-hmm. Because I really love watching them. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they're fantastic. All the stuff with, Frenchie in season 2, like you mentioned with Lamplighter. Because season 1, it's, he's the least, talked about character, or the character within the boys with the least amount to do. I mean, he gets a little bit more once Camiko is in the picture, but it doesn't really escalate or anything. And then season 2,
right,
you have that dynamic with him and Camiko kind of growing, and all the stuff that happens with her brother and Lamplighter. It really grows them, and in Frenchie's case, makes it really interesting. And that was kind of surprising for me, because in season 1 where it's just I do really like Frenchie, but it's he's not really there. And then once all the stuff with Lamplighter happens, it's just man, holy shit, I'm caring about him more than I ever thought I would. So
yeah. And kind of in that context, I know for a new viewer of The Boys, they would feel bored with Frenchie's character in a way, or they didn't give him enough time to flesh out his character in the first season. But when you add season 2 into the mix, it makes a lot of sense why they didn't, because they're trying to keep his character pretty kind of in the dark with his backstory because he doesn't even talk about it until the whole lamplighter thing. And it just adds a depth to that show and to his character for them waiting, I think. But until it happens, I don't blame people for being like, oh, well, they're not using him right, or he's kind of on the back burner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a character, anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like that dynamic, especially between Camiko and Frenchie. Like it's great. So, let's talk about.
Agreed.
Let's go through the seasons now, each episode, and talk about how we actually feel about them.
Wait, we have one more. We gotta talk about Huey.
All right. All right.
We'll just go over them fast. We got to get to the episodes.
Huey's great,
but
especially in
I love
1.
Huey.
Huey's great.
Yeah, I agree.
He is essentially the main character of season 1. Like most of the story revolves around him, and his relationship with Starlight, and him trying to get back at A-Train. Like it is like really great stuff. Season 2, like they put him on the back burner, which is kind of a shame. At least for me, because like season 2,
I love his character.
Yeah, I love his character, but like season 2, like they don't really give him much to work with. So
that's one of the issues with the show too. Is they kind of each season so far has like put one character in front of the others. And I wish they could kind of find a happy medium of like bringing them all to the forefront at some capacity. Because I found myself throughout season 2 wanting to see Huey so much because he was really not involved as much. So, and he's one of my favorite characters in the whole show, and there's a lot of characters in this show.
Yeah, yeah, there is a lot.
But yeah, I hope that we see more of him. I'm only on episode 2 of season 3, so I really can't speak on it. But I hope I see more of him in 3. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love Huey. He's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Him and Butcher is great. Every scene they do together. Him and Starlight, of course, is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even just the smaller moments with him and MM or Frenchie or Camiko, whoever, it's he is the most, I guess, sane person among the group.
He's kind of the Starlight of the boys.
Yeah.
In the sense that he's the most pure-hearted, and he's kind of the hope of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think the consensus is, everyone, that we both love Huey.
Yes.
Let's talk about these episodes, because there's some ground to cover.
All right, so episode 1 is great. It's all about Huey and how this whole snowball just kind of starts to form and how it gets moving. Which, by the way, how it gets moving is fuck. It's pretty fucking gruesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
some of my other favorite moments, of course, is the fight in the department store at the end, and him
so good,
plant the bug in Vought Tower, and it's him meeting Billy Butcher. It's all these fantastic moments, and it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I love episode 1. And I can tell you, we were talking about this before we started recording, but every episode makes you want to come back for more.
Yeah.
Or maybe we were talking about it in the episode. I don't even remember. but each episode makes you want to come back for more, and this first episode makes you want there to be a whole season ahead of it. This was so good, I can't wait to watch all other 7 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep coming back. So I love episode 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I love episode 1. It's a great introduction to not only Huey's story but also Starlight's too.
For sure.
And it sets a whole bunch of things into motion, and it's great. Episode 2, um, see, like, there's the thing where it's like, throughout the show, like, you get these one-off kind of adventure type things where it's like, the boys go to, like, some facility filled with, like, kids with, that have been experimented on and whatnot. And majority of the episode will focus on that one plot line. And episode 2 is kind of the same case where it's like most of it is dedicated to, like, what are they going to do with Translucent? And what they do with Translucent is, as mentioned, pretty fucking gruesome and great. But there's not really much else going on besides that. I think there's some stuff with Starlight, but, like, most of it is just dedicated to, like, Huey, Butcher, and Frenchie, who we meet in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still really like it. It's a thing where it's just, like, it never gets boring. Like, out of all the episodes,
right.
Like, even for as mundane as it is, like, it's just them trying to figure out how to kill Translucent. None of it ever gets boring.
No. And I think that's why I keep binging it, is because, like, I just want to keep watching, because I haven't found an episode that's completely filler at all. Like, they all have something to bring to the table.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things about season 1 where it's just like, or just the show in general that I've noticed, where it's like there's not really a whole lot of, like, intentionally filler type episodes.
Yeah.
Like, it moves the plot forward in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, episode 2 is great. Episode 3 is pretty good too, where it's just dedicated to this race between A-Train and Shockwave, who is the other speedster. And, yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, me too.
Episode 4 is when we finally get to meet Camiko for the first time, or the female,
yes,
whatever you want to call her.
That was something I wanted to touch on, is that I love how they keep it for a while ambiguous, and it's just the female. I love how, like, mysterious that is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I really enjoyed. Just, like, a little thing that I think was very cool that they did. It gives you the suspense and mystery to her character. Because the female sounds very, like, I guess, not creepy, but kind of shadow-like, and, like, you don't know anything about her. So that was something I enjoyed thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
and she's brutal in the first episode that she's in. She's brutal.
Yes,
my God,
yes, she is
ripping necks off. Oh man. So yeah, that was something else.
Yeah, no. I think with the show, one of the posted notes they have on their wall is like, "What are we gonna do with Camiko this season? That's even more brutal than what we did last season." Because in season 2, there's a scene where she goes, like, she tries to be a mercenary. So she goes into this Russian, I think it's like a Russian bar or whatnot. And she literally takes a guy by one ear and then just rips his face off. And you're like, holy fucking shit.
Oh my God. Oh, that was so... I had no clue that was coming. And I was like, ugh. It was kind of awesome, but it's kind of gross at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, it's a lot of the show is like, it's very, like, kind of gross, like because people are getting their limbs. It's like, it's what Mortal Kombat should have been like in the movies, where it's just like people are getting limbs ripped off, their heads fucking torn up, and their eyes gouged out. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
So episode 5 is when they go to this Believe Expo, which is basically, a Christian, like a very Christian, like, festival type thing. And that's where we get to meet Ezekiel for the first time, where it's like,
He's such an interesting guy.
yeah, like there's a great moment with him and Huey in here where it's them, like it's Huey trying to blackmail him.
Yeah,
and it's like, I have the evidence on my phone. The phone doesn't work because Huey got baptized with the phone in his pocket, and it's just like, I was like, what are you gonna do? He was like, I may or may not have the evidence, so it's all up to you. And it's just like, man, fine. Fucking Huey's a natural as mother's milk or mommy milkers.
Mommy milkers. That's the correct answer.
Episode 6 is this is the one where it's like a documentary about each of the members of the Seven. I forget what happens with the boys in this episode, but
me too. It's not ringing a bell.
The moment I remember most about this episode is when Homelander goes into the childhood room and is just like, why is this blanket here?
Yeah, he loses his shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You fucking amateur.
Yeah, just fucking throws the blanket. Just fucking amateur.
Oh my god.
Okay. Episode 7. This is where they meet. Oh fuck! What's that guy's name? I can't remember. He's a washed-up kid superhero who has the ability to like. Touches you.
Mesmer. Was it Mesmerizer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mesmer. Yeah. Yeah. So they find Mesmer so that they can try and figure out who Camiko is, because at that point, they know nothing about her, and
she fucking breaks his hand.
Yeah, and by the end, he ends up betraying all of them to Homelander, and then he gets his face fucking smashed into a sink by Butcher. So
I was just gonna say that was one of the best, cool, like most brutal, cool deaths that Butcher could have possibly done.
Yeah. Yeah, just murders this guy in I think he's like in an airport bathroom or whatnot.
Yeah, and I love how he's like, wait, I have a daughter, and then Butcher just doesn't care. Bop, 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 just kills him.
All right. So that's really good. And then you get to the finale, which, goddamn, what a fantastic finale that was.
Yeah. They know how to. That's the thing with both seasons. Each finale is like great.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of this finale? Because the episode is literally packed to the brim with great moments.
Weirdly enough, the ending. I love the ending so much. It is one of my favorite cliffhanger endings ever in a TV show. Because it's just out of nowhere, too, where it's like the whole season, you get these little bits of Butcher, and it's like, oh, Homelander raped and murdered my wife, Becca, and then after the whole ordeal with, him and him, Butcher, and Madison Stillwell, where fucking Homelander just obliterates her face with his laser.
Oh, God.
The explosion goes off. He wakes up in this kind of suburban area. You don't know where it is. And then a kid runs out, and then you see these legs walking towards them, and you find out that it's Becca. And you're just wondering, what the fuck is happening?
Yep.
And then in that realization, you're also figuring out, like, wait, that's Homelander's kid. And he has powers, too. Like,
oh, God.
All this shit is happening, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And it just cuts.
Yep.
It's great.
That's my favorite part of the episode, too. I just love the whole lead up to it, because that whole sequence came so out of left field. And also, what came out of left field was Homelander actually killing How do you pronounce her name? Sitwell?
Stillwell.
Stillwell.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Stillwell, just like you said, he obliterated her face, and with like not really any hesitation, he just like made out with her for a second and then just murdered her. Looked her right in the eyes and lasered those things out.
If there was
And
anybody,
I think
sorry, but if there was
no, go
anybody to
ahead.
call mommy milkers, it was Madison Stillwell.
Oh my god, I know. I know.
um,
And I love how Billy in that scene is just he's faced with basically his biggest enemy and he just goes unhinged and like is ready to kill himself.
I just love too, like Homelander's there, and he's like, your heart's beating, but it's like you're not afraid of anything.
Yep.
It's like he's like, you got fucking balls on you, dude.
Yep.
But
That's so good.
yeah, I love like the kind of climax with also with Huey, Starlight, and A Train, like just what happens between the three of them in that warehouse, I think it was, or it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was great. But yeah, that ending alone sells the entire, like, it's just fantastic. Like you gotta watch it if you haven't seen it already. You just gotta watch it.
Please watch it.
It's great. I managed to get him to watch it, and
Yeah,
he's
and I
loving
do
it.
not regret it at all.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about season 2, which
Okay.
it's definitely like an interesting turn what they do in season 2. It's
Yeah.
weird, but it's like okay.
Yeah. I think towards the latter part of season 2 is when it gets really good.
Yeah.
Especially the twist in the finale. But yes, let's start off with episode 1. I'm trying to remember what the hell happened in episode 1. So,
Episode 1,
all right,
from
okay.
what I remember, is the first.
Billy wakes up in the parking lot, right?
I think.
Or is that what it starts off with?
I think. No, I think that's episode 2 of season 2.
Is it?
I think episode 1, it starts with Huey and Starlight trying to meet each other. They meet each other in the subway, and it's all like incognito.
Right. Oh, right, because they're living in the basement of the store.
Yeah, yeah, at the basement of the pawn shop, and Billy's not with them. It's just Huey, Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Camiko.
Yeah.
You have no idea where Billy is, and
right.
then at the very end he shows up, and he's just he takes the reins back and all that. But yeah, the major thing about this episode is that we get an introduction to Stormfront, which, man, what a turn that character did.
I know. I don't know, like, she annoys me, but at the same time, I love how unhinged she is. And I thought her backstory was super cool. That's just me. I thought it was super interesting what they did with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Yeah, like,
yeah, go ahead.
With Stormfront, like, when they first meet her, she's like this, she's literally shitting on everything Vought does. And then I think it's around episode 5 or episode 6, something like that, you get to learn her backstory, and it's like, man, I never would have thought of that, but it works either way, and yeah. She's out of the characters, is like she's the one that you love to hate the most. Like Homelander, there's just like, you want to see more of him for sure, but like Stormfront, it's just like after the whole Nazi thing comes out, it's just like, get her out of the show. Like we've seen enough of her. So episode 1, besides the boys trying to, I guess they're trying to get their families back and whatnot, you meet Stormfront, and it just kind of goes on from there. Episode 2 is when we get to meet Camiko's brother. And the end of that episode is really great, where it's just the two of them it's him and Camiko sitting on the swings, and it's them trying to kind of,
That was great.
Her trying to talk him out of, being a soup terrorist and all this other shit. And they have a really fun fight in the streets where it's just he takes her and throws her into a building. And
oh yeah,
man, fucking shit.
That
And then
great.
episode 3 is when shit really hits the fan, and because they're out on the boat, and then they get discovered by police, and then the Deep finds them, and then it just escalates and escalates and escalates, and it's by the end of that episode, it's just it's great.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I believe that.
What would you say is your favorite moment from the early bits of season 2?
Well, I love that swing scene so much because it adds that relationship that she has with her brother.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it more. It makes it feel more grounded, I think, and it kind of envelops you into her character more. Because it's almost like when they explain their relationship, you care what happens to her brother because she cares what happens to her brother.
Yeah.
So you want the best for the brother.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a shining moment, and I love just the sense of uncertainty between Huey and Starlight because their relationship's kind of in shambles now, because of the lying and all that stuff from season 1.
Yeah.
And I love the uncertainty of what the hell happened to Billy. Because in the early bits of season 2, you really do have to take into account season 1's finale. I feel like they go hand in hand. It's almost like a continuation of the finale.
Yeah.
So I love that stuff. And I think I'm trying to think of a standout moment in episode 1 that I really enjoyed. Just that maybe I can pinpoint one. Well, I'm thinking, what about you? What's a moment?
A moment from the first episode of season 2, because they deal with this soup, which they don't know who it is, but it's it could be anybody, where it's they're exploding people's heads, and it's causing pandemonium and stuff. And there's a scene way later which really emphasizes that, where it's they're in a courtroom, I guess, giving, or somebody's giving testimony trying to take down Vought, and then all of a sudden heads just start exploding out of nowhere, and it's just what the fuck is happening?
Oh god.
And then you come to find out who it is at the finale. But
yeah,
yeah,
that was a great lead up kind of thing.
But yeah, that moment in the first episode where it's them talking somewhere, and then all of a sudden the person they're talking with, their nose starts to bleed, and then all of a sudden it's just BAM!
Yeah.
And also the fact that Billy just shows up at the end, it's not like he comes back halfway through or whatnot, you're expecting them to. But
right.
Then at the very end, all this commotion happens, and then it's just what's going on? And then you see him walk down the stairs. It's just oh man.
I think he throws the guy from upstairs down the stairs,
so,
right? Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
This guy was in my way.
Yeah.
Or whatever he said.
But yeah, episode 3, it's just
I love episode 3.
Yeah.
I think it's in between that and the last episode that are my 2 favorites, I think.
I would yeah, I would agree.
I think 3 just what's the word I'm looking for? It establishes Stormfront as a character that is extremely powerful and very manipulative. And I love all the scenes on the boat. I think that's great stuff, especially when they realize that they finally let the cat out of the bag with Serum V, or what's the name of it?
Compound V. Yeah.
Compound V.
Yeah.
what is wrong with me today? God, Serum V. Yeah, but when Compound V is leaked to the public from Starlight and Huey, that's a great scene of how Butcher is just, at this point, he's doing it all for Becca, and he doesn't really enjoy the pleasure of Mommy Milker's Frenchie and Huey all partying up when they see it on the news. He's just like, get your asses back to work. Shit could go wrong really fast, and it does. That whole sequence of the helicopter crashing, how that kind of spirals into the Seven showing up, or rather, it just has Deep showing up with that awesome freaking whale death.
Yeah.
So that sets up the rest of the episode. Really, it's just them going through the tunnels, and I'm trying to find them. And yeah, it's just a very action-packed, suspenseful episode. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And it's paced really well, I think.
Yeah, I just like the escalation element of it, where it's just like, it's them on the boat with the soup terrorists, and then, of course, the cops find them, and they're on the run. And then, of course, the whole stuff about Compound V going out, and the Seven is just like, man, we got to catch the soup terrorists. And then all these things just kind of converge onto itself. And, like, a favorite scene of mine is when they're in the storm drains, and, like, Starlight has Huey up against the wall, and then Homelander comes out of nowhere. It's just like, murder this guy. Kill him.
Yep. That was such a good scene. And then Huey actually said, yeah, fine, it's okay.
Yeah, do it.
So that he could save her.
And
she was ready to do it, too.
Yeah. And then Butcher coming in, clutching it out. I just love that, where it's just like Huey has the music playing in his head, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oi, cunt. It's like, what the fuck? And
that's another small moment, too, for, like, kind of the relationship of how Billy, in a way, needs Huey, and Huey needs Billy.
Yeah.
So, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. I was finished. Another thing, too, is that, like, episode 3 is when, they really dig into Stormfront, and they show you why, like, because she's a racist. Like, she's a Nazi racist. And, like, it's this episode where it's just like they have a fight in this apartment complex. Like, they crash through an apartment, and then...
Dude, she's ruthless in that.
Yeah, she murdered... Like, the first thing she does, besides chasing Camiko and her brother, she murders a black family.
Yeah.
And then as they go through the apartment, she just murders more and more people. And...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's fucking nuts. Like,
yeah. And it makes you hate her character. It makes you hate her.
Yeah.
It's just... There's so many characters in this show I hate. In a supervillain way.
Yeah.
And she's, like, probably at the top of that list. I mean, her and Homelander, but I think the fact that she was a Nazi just adds to the hatred you have for why she does what she does is the reason you hate her.
Yeah.
So yeah. See episode 3. Phenomenal episode.
Yeah. Yeah, probably my favorite, along with the finale, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we get to episode 4, which
I don't remember much of, if I'm being honest with you.
It's Starlight, Huey, and MM. They travel to I forget.
Oh, is that when they meet? Is that when they meet Fireboy?
No, that's
okay.
That's
next episode, I think.
I don't know. They're trying to find out information on Liberty, and they go to this house.
Oh, yes.
Talk about it,
and
they find out that Stormfront was Liberty, And it's just like, man,
Yes.
she's got to be like what, over like 70 years old or something like that.
And then you find out that she's even older than that.
Yeah.
But that's later. But yeah. No, go ahead.
One of my favorite moments from the episode is just because episode, like very early on, like when Stormfront gets introduced, like Homelander is not fucking having it. Like
No.
just.
And then they become like fuck machines.
Yeah, no, it just boils and escalates. And there's a moment in the 4th episode where he's literally like, he's going through memes that of like
the memes are funny, by the way.
They are.
They're actually funny.
He's literally going through all of them, and then like he goes up to her, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I mean, it's dumb, and you're just like you're wondering, it's like, oh man, why did they have to do that? But it's like, it's just a funny image of just seeing Homelander, just seeing his blood boiling by these fucking dudes on laptops making these memes.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny.
Episode 5, I don't really remember much of.
Me neither, if I'm being honest with you.
Like I'm looking at
not off the top of my head.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the description of the episode here on Prime Video, and it's like it's them doing the Dawn of the Seven movie, like or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was just all that. It was all like it was like the kind of on the set kind of episode. It was mostly just them on set. From what I remember, there could probably be more, but I don't know.
I think this was the one too where, or maybe it's the next episode where it's like Homelander and Stormfront get together. I think it's either this or the next episode, but like yeah, it's fucked. it's fucked.
It is.
Yeah, and then episode 6 is when they go to the medical center with all the kids are people with superpowers, and it's like there's people where it's like a guy has like acid spit or whatever, or a guy who literally can stretch his dick out. It's weird.
Oh, that was so whack. I love how it wraps his dick around Mommy Milker's neck. And he's just like, was that his dick? He's like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. You gotta be open-minded.
When I watched that, I'm like, okay, like to me, it didn't look like a dick. It just looked like some kind of like an arm or whatever. And then you see it slither back in. It's just like,
yeah, like. It was gross. It was so like nasty. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I remember watching that for the first time. I'm just like, oh no.
And you know what's interesting about that episode too is me and my brother both thought that the soup that can blow everyone up was the person that blew up the CIA agent's head.
Yeah.
We thought that's who it was, and that was maybe that was what their goal was, to kind of throw you off. But I think even if they didn't introduce that character, it still would have been a good plot twist, figuring out who it actually is. Because I would have never thought that it was her.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was a solid episode. I love the part where they kind of have to try and hitchhike Huey to a hospital, and the guy gets out of his Mercedes with a gun, and they just kill him. Starlight kills him on accident.
Yeah.
But I was like, it was terrible, that part. Because I felt bad for Starlight that she, killed someone. And I felt bad for the dude, because then they make you feel bad, because when they get in the back seat with Huey, you see the baby seat. And you're like, oh, God.
Yeah. It's like, oh, man, fucking... The scene that gets me is, like, it's the three of them right before that, and then the patient shows up out of nowhere. And it's just okay, man. Like, try to, like, calm down. We'll get you a safe place. And then he fucking just That's what
Yeah.
the van.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's, it's an interesting episode because like that's when like the dynamic with Frenchie
That's
and
yeah.
Lamplighter like starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's in the next episode you find out like what really happened. Like they flash back to what happened with the two of them.
No, I think it was in that episode. I think
Yeah.
it was in that episode because they were in the room in the hospital doing the. He was like taking all the drugs out,
Yeah.
and during that it like flashes back, I think, and then comes back, and he just kind of, they kind of pick a fight with each other, and they explain it. But so now I'm trying to think what actually does happen in the next episode.
I think in episode 7, that's when.
That's when he dies, right? That's when Lamplighter dies.
Yeah, that's when he dies.
That what a mind bending death that was. Just lights himself on fire. He was like, I wanted to do it in front of my statue, make Dad proud. I was like, oh God, this is not going to be. And then Huey freaking out. I was like, what the fuck? Oh my God.
I don't remember if it's in this episode or episode 6 is when. I think it's just in episode 7 when. It's when the scene in the courtroom happens where it's just like heads blowing up everywhere and
yeah,
it's like bam, bam.
It's one of the two. I think it is 7.
But and
that freaked me out. I did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching that and I'm like, fucking hell. Like that's the thing is like when you think something good's gonna happen and then it just completely like it fucks you over.
Yeah.
And also with this is when, because there's a subplot involving Butcher, Becca, and their son Ryan, where it's just like Homelander wants to, be the kid's father and trying to be there, but like he also wants.
That was when he takes him, right?
Episode 7, I think is, or episode 6 or 7.
Whatever. I think it was 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So or it might have been the end of 6.
Yeah. But yeah, they take him out into the real world, and it's just like, they just all this shit happens, and episode 7 is like it's a interesting episode to say the least, and I guess you could say that about the season 2 in general, but like and then episode 8 is it's fantastic. Like the last 20 minutes, I want to say, is like where the episode shines at its best.
Yeah,
because it's like, first of all, you have the girls get it done moment where it's like,
that was
it's
awesome
Starlight,
scene.
Camiko, and Maeve beating the shit out of Stormfront. That's probably one of my favorite parts because it's like it's all them beating on her, and then Frenchie's just like, girls really do get it done.
Yeah, I love that scene.
And then at the end, like the whole scene with Becca, Butcher, and Stormfront, like
I was tearing up, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was. It was just.
I was.
You're getting choked up.
I was getting choked up too. It's just like, damn.
It was. I did not expect any of that to happen. It's like that's the thing about The Boys is like the final confrontations are like it kind of starts off how you think it's gonna go, but then Ryan just like blasts Stormfront and kills Becca in the process. I would have never, because I kind of saw that coming of like Ryan neutralizing Stormfront because of the whole setup earlier with the whole think of someone you hate and you'll be able to shoot lasers. Because that's what happened earlier in the season when he said, get the fuck off my mom to Homelander. So, but I would have never thought Becca was going to die. You kind of expect the whole happy ending thing with Billy and Becca, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I can just that whole ending scene with them in the forest, like it tears you up, but at the same time, it's just like there's something weirdly like satisfying about it, especially when
Yeah.
when after Homelander shows up and it's just like, Ryan, come with me, and then he slowly starts to move over to Butcher, and it's just like, God
Yeah.
damn.
You know what part got me in that whole ending part was when Butcher, right after Becca dies, Butcher looks over at Ryan and is ready to hit him with the crowbar.
Yeah, he's ready to kill him.
Yeah. And I guess somewhere in between that and Homelander showing up, he kind of, recollects his emotions and remembers the promise that he made Becca.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, talk about phenomenal performances from, what's his name? Urban, I think.
Carl Urban, yeah.
Carl Urban. Dude,
Yeah.
He's phenomenal in that whole, the whole show he's great, but that episode he stretched his wings.
He did.
He did a great job. So, yeah, I can't even say enough about
even
that.
during the epilogue too, where it's just like, everybody's moving on with their lives. The boys are no longer like fugitives. MM can go back to his family, and Frenchie and Camiko are like doing their own thing, and Huey, meets up with Victoria Newman, who is a congresswoman who's shaming Homelander and all this other shit, and he gets a job there. And then the last scene fucking got me because it's the head of the Charger Collective, like A-Train already left, I think, earlier, but like the Deep is like, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. And then he's sitting in his office, and then all of a sudden his head explodes.
Yep.
And you're like, what
and
the
this
fuck?
is the big plot twist.
The Congresswoman Victoria Newman is the one who has been blowing up people's heads, and yeah.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
And obviously we'll continue the story with her once season 3 is over and we make another episode about season 3.
Yeah.
But that all comes back once season 3 starts, and it kind of makes its way into the boys, into Huey, and they figure it out. But it was a really good cliffhanger, I gotta say. I don't think it was as good as the first season's cliffhanger, because the whole first season just sets up this world so well. I don't know that any cliffhanger they do after this is going to match up to that first one, because it's so out of left field. But it's still a really good cliffhanger.
It is
to end the season on.
Yeah, I think overall, like for season 1, it's just like the whole series, like there was never a dull moment where it's just like everything moved the story along. Nothing felt out of place or ham-fisted in. Like all of it worked amazingly well. And then season 2, it's like it still works fantastic, but at the same time it's like part of it's kind of like goes down a little bit in terms of just quality.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I love both seasons. Like, I do genuinely love both of them. But the first season is very special.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something about it. The first season of Boys is like, it's a whole new kind of thing. It's like that exciting moment when you see or do something you love for the first time. That's kind of how The Boys season 1 is for me.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to like do that again. It's and
it's like I don't. No, go ahead.
They do a really good job trying to like bring it up to that, but I don't think even like I'm not even imagining season 3 once it's all over. Like it'll really match up to season 1 in any way. So
yeah, it's like okay, so I don't know how much everyone is like kind of enveloped in the Beatles, but I kind of see it as like, if anyone knows the Beatles, the Sgt. Pepper is like their magnum opus, right? That album is like the top of the top, And that's kind of how this first season is. And then everything after that, it's great, but it doesn't match up to what they did.
Yeah.
That first time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't doubt that season 3 is going to end great, and we'll probably get a season 4, maybe. I have no idea, but
I'm certain about it.
Yeah, but I think it's all going to be great, but it's just not going to be as spectacular as season 1. Because it's going to be like we said, it's something special.
It's going to be really hard to like do what season 1.
Unless they do some crazy shit. Like, unless they do something absolutely mind-bending.
Just insane.
Yeah. Some multiverse of the boys. Freaking go back in time. No, don't do that, guys. Please don't do it.
We already had enough.
But yeah.
We already have enough.
Enough. I'm ready. We'll talk about this another time, but please. I don't want to watch Flash next year because we've already had too much multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's all we had to talk about for the boys' first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun this episode.
That was fun, yeah.
And guys, again, I'm new to this show. Marvel kind of just switched me to the religion. But it's the church of the boys.
Yeah.
So I just got invited into the congregation, and I'm getting baptized this weekend. So wish me luck.
Yeah, he's gonna be through season 3, and he's gonna.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait for Friday's episode just to see what the fuck everyone's reaction is, especially yours.
Yeah, because like, dude, I'm gonna finish episodes 2 through 4, or 2 through 4. No, it's episodes 2 through 5 tonight. So once this week episode happens, I'm gonna be all caught up. And I am so excited to see what the hell happens, because I really don't know what everyone's buzzing about. I really haven't been paying attention because I just got into the boys. So I'm excited, and when it happens, we'll have to talk about it. Like, I'll text you. I'll be like, bro, what the fuck?
I know.
Or whatever my reaction is. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's like, it's great because it gives us another thing to talk about, and I'm so glad I finally like gotten into it. Batman can go so far.
Yeah, no,
but
I know.
But yeah, this was super fun. I'm so glad I'm finally getting into the show and talking about it. I'm coming out, guys. I'm coming out.
This is it. This is your story. All right. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this podcast. Like we said, we're definitely gonna do an episode on season 3 once it drops. I can't wait to talk about season 3. Like I've been enjoying it immensely so far.
Do you think it's better so far than season 2, in your opinion?
So far, I would
from
say
what you've
yes.
seen.
For the most part, yes, I would say it's better than season 2. Like just the stuff that has happened. Like even in the last episode I watched, where it's just like, man, like what the fuck? Like what is happening here? Like I'm trying to wrap my head around it even now.
Dude,
it's just like
I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what you're talking about, because I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm so excited to see it.
It's just insane. Like it's they do like each season escalates, and it's just like, man, what are they gonna do?
Guys, I'll be messaging Marvel tonight when I finish the episode. I'll be like, dude, what is going on here?
Yeah,
no. I'll be mind bended out.
After every episode, he's gonna text me being like, dude, what the fuck? But yeah. So yeah, that's about it in terms of the podcast. I have no idea what Friday's episode was, but whatever it may be sure to watch that. And stay tuned for our coverage on season 3, because I'm excited to talk about it. I'm sure he's excited to talk about it with me, and hopefully if we can secure our guests, then he will be super excited to talk about it too.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Be sure to follow us on all our social media and stuff. Just a quick reminder, we have both an Instagram and a Twitter for the Speaking Nerd podcast. So be sure to, go follow those. And I don't have links in the description, but I'm sure I'll just probably post them when I can. So,
Yeah.
anyway, have a great night. Thank you all so much for watching. And of course, don't forget to take care of yourselves. See ya.